And hello, I'm back. It's me, Anime We or We Anime. And we are here with another What If Deku was the only male with quirk? Yeah. And like usual, disclaimer, I stutter my words. I do impressions, sort of. And if I'm sorry about language. If I sorry about language. If I well, it's mostly because of Bakio, okay? That's the only time I actually use foul language, okay? I think that's it with that. So, let's get into the story. And where we last left off, Aizawa was telling the class about the sports festival that was coming up in a couple of days. So they had to train, and all they were going to do is train and whatnot. So they would be training a lot. Alright, and also, I forgot to put this in the disclaimer. Sorry about the background noise if you hear any. I'm sorry. And they would be training more and more often in like the hero course. Not hero course, they are in hero course. In the hero training class, there would be more training. Right? For the past couple days, for the days to continue, now we get to the sports festival. The class would be in the class would be in their waiting room, right? And Midoriya, they would all be wearing their sports, their training uniform, right? They would all be wearing it. Midoriya has his orange jacket over, his orange-white jacket, right? I need to get a picture of that. Now I'll get it. Next week you'll see the picture, most likely. Okay? I'll probably get it out after this recording. Okay? He has it over his stuff, and most people are confused why he's wearing it. And Kaminari would go up to Midoriya and ask, "Hey, dude, why are you wearing your coat? Any reason?" And Midoriya would say, "Well, it's because most people don't know that I'm a male, as you know, so I'm going to try to keep it that way." And Kaminari and the rest of the people I would be wondering, which were only a few people, okay, they would be understanding why, because that news didn't leave the premise of the class 1A and 1B. See, those two classes would be the only two classes plus the principal and some heroes to know that he's a male, right? And present Mike, no, he would be up in the booth. Aizawa would walk in and say, "Sorry about the noise. It's very windy. I hope you can hear me well." But Aizawa would walk in and say, "You're up, you're up. No, you all are up. It's your time to go out there. Show what Class 1A is made of. Show them all what Class 1A is made of." And Aizawa would walk away and go up to the booth with Present Mike. And you could hear Present Mike over speakers, I believe. Yeah, speakers saying, "And here comes Class 1A! Right, and Class 1A would walk out and would get into the row of students in the students, like where all the students are at, you know what I mean. And Midnight would say, when they would get there, Midnight would say, would Class 1A's representative come up here? And she would give a little bit pause for them to walk up there. And it's not Bakugo. Well, Bakugo would start to walk up, and Midnight would notice Bakugo to walk up, right? And Midnight would say, "Oh, it's not you, Miss Bakugo. It's not you, Bakugo. It's someone else." And Bakugo would say, "Well, there's only one more person that it could be besides me, and that's Izumi." And clearly, they're only men with a quirk. I'm just gonna use my impression of Bakugo's voice, the regular male Bakugo voice, right, to do the impression. All right. So, yeah. And Midnight would say, "It's not her either. It's the one in the orange and white coat." And Midoriya would start getting frightened. Like, he didn't want to be up top. He didn't even know he was at top. He just tried. He thought, like, someone else can be. He would, well, in his best female sounding voice, he would say, he would walk up there. He would walk up there slowly, right? And he would look at Midnight like, "Why did you do this to me?" Like that type of face, like, "What did I do to you to earn this?" And Midnight would say, "You got the best score, kid. Now show him who you really are. Hot shot." And Midoriya would say in his best female voice, "Hi, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Yeah, I know it's a male name. Don't get it. They wanted a male. Okay, I'm the disappointment of the family. Okay, try your best, everyone." And Midoriya would start to walk off the stage, and Midnight would grab the back of Midoriya's coat and pull him back, and Midnight would say to the thing, he would also like to show you all something. And a lot of people would start being questioned, like, I think, and you could hear a lot of people in the crowd, like the heroes and the civilians that are in the crowd, you could hear them say, like, all different conversations, like, "That's a male?" No. Like, some would say, "Is that a male?" And some others would say, "I think Midnight messed up her words," right? And Midnight would say, "Oh, no, this is really a male, I can tell you that." And you could hear Aizawa over the intercoms. That's the word for it. Intercoms saying, "You do realize, Midnight, no, don't you dare. Don't you dare." And Midnight would say into the microphone, she would say, "I dare." And Midnight would, like, take off Izuku's hood and would show everyone him. yeah, it would show Midoriya's face, and Midoriya would look down like he does not want to do this. He doesn't want to be there. He never wanted to be at the top. So he just puts up back on his hood and just starts bolting, like getting back to his classmates, right? And Midnight would start laughing and would say, "Well, it's time to reveal the stages of this tournament, of this festival, right?" And so she would walk over to a screen. It would pop up like a wheel, like, you know that wheel app everyone uses. And she would spin it, right? And it would spin, start to spin, right? And it would land on, well, every year it always has the one-on-one tournaments, right? Always. So it would land on the obstacle race, right? And the cavalry battle, okay? After the 2 spins, it would land on those 2. And the first up is the race, right? It would be the race, and everyone would be waiting. Well, all the students would be waiting back there and at the waiting room. And Midori would be in the corner with his hood up, facing the wall. And a couple students would walk up to him and pat him on the back and say, "It's okay. Everyone's not. I know. We will think of you as the same as we have over the past few weeks, right?" And yeah, I mean, the students who would do that would be Kirishima, Kaminari, Ojiro, Tokoyami, Oraka, Jiro, Momo, Sato, Soji. About everyone besides Izumi and Bakugo, well, everyone besides those 2, okay, would go up there, pat him back, and maybe say a couple words, right? And yeah, someone would go back there and tell Class 1A it's time for the race, right? Midori would still have his hood on, and yeah, he would, well, with his gear right now, the training uniform, it would fall off of his body, and the coat would too, like, once it would start. And you can hear President Mike over the intercoms saying, 3, 2, 1, go! And Todoroki, like usual, would freeze the ground and stop some people. But Midoriya would would see the ice, go, fast, quickly go, right? And Midoriya, before they could freeze, his feet could freeze, he would transform into a cheetah, right? A cheetah. And he would start running. And his clothes would be on the ground, right? It would be on the ground, and everyone would look at, the giant cat that appeared, the cheetah that appeared, right? And everyone would be amazed that that person has a quirk, which they all would seem like a male. Everyone would stay away from him really, like, while in the tunnel, right, everyone would stay away from him, right? And yeah, he would be bolting away, right? He would be around first, second, third place, fourth, fifth. He would be in that range, 5-1 at this moment, right? Well, currently he would be at third place, right? And then people with like speed type quirks would be finally catching up to him, right? And like Ida, some other students would catch up to him, like catch up to the to Midoriya, and would go faster than him. And Midoriya thinks, I can't run much farther in the cheetah form, so he runs into an alleyway, right? He would run into an alleyway in his cheetah form. He would transform back into his human form, because that's how his quirk works. He has to, like, he transforms into an animal and would have to transform back to his human form and then to another animal, right? That's how his quirk works, okay? And so after he does that, he would transform into a gazelle. Like, if you know what a gazelle, a gazelle, okay? And he would go back out and would start running back again even faster. And see, I'm an animal nerd, okay? So cheetahs can only run like 70 miles an hour they can run that fast, but only for like a short period of time, right? And gazelles, even though they're slower than a cheetah, they can run at like 60 to 50, like 55 to 60 miles per hour, right? For long distances, instead of that like short, like an hour time span for like cheetahs. I believe I don't know how the time works. I'm just gonna make it an hour, okay? But yet, yeah, he would transform into a gazelle and would catch up right back up with fifth and fourth, because he let people go by while he was transforming, right? He would catch up with Ida and I don't know who else would be there. Ida and somebody, I don't know. But yet he would catch up and get back into third place, and would look up and see robots. One's already destroyed, and one's still causing havoc, right? So he decides to run up the ice pillar from Todoroki that Todoroki used to destroy the robot. He runs up there and would jump on the other robot and would go back to his human form, which everyone could see, which nobody would see him. Well, he would be naked, right? And we all know this because the falling, yeah. He would only be, like, he can transform into a lion, not a lion. He would transform into a tiger very quickly. See, with some animals, it takes longer time to transform into them, right? But yet, he would go into his human form very quickly, like for a split second, okay? And would be into his tiger form very quickly, and would start mauling the head of the robot, right? And the robot would begin to fall onto like buildings. So Midoriya would jump off, land on a building, and would start running as a tiger on the buildings, which, animal nerd alert. Tigers have a straight jump of 16 feet, or 13 to 16 feet, I believe. Right? So they can jump very high. So he would be jumping from building to building, still keeping up speed with the others. And he would finally begin to see Bakugo and Todoroki, finally. And Izumi. Izumi would be up there, too. She would be, like, 4th to 5th, right? And Ida would be, like, 5th. And now Midoriya would be at 3rd place, right? He would begin to see all of them. Well, the 2 behind him, he's already saw. Midoriya is at 4th place. He begins to see. He can now see, like, all the Izumi, which she's the one. No, I had Mirio. Mirio has one for all, right? I made that happen. Yeah. Izumi would be up there with her telekinesis quirk, right? But yet they would be. Hold on, the wind again. Hope that doesn't bother any of you. But yet, yeah, they would be getting up there very quickly. Well, Midoriya would be quickly gaining speed in the terms of places. He would be neck and neck with Izumi, and Izumi would finally look over and see that he's there, and he's catching up. So, he would jump off the building, right, and would do like a front flip, or like a flip midair, and he would transform into his human form in a split second, and then transform into a hawk, right? And would be zooming past Izumi, and now he would be at 3rd place. And he would be neck and neck with Bakugo and Todoroki, right? But yet not really neck and neck. He would be a little bit behind. And they would both look, Bakugo would look back first and see a green hawk right behind them, right behind her, which Bakugo is at 1st place, right? And, yeah, and Todoroki would look over and see Bakugo looking at something, and Todoroki would look over and see a green bird, right? A green hawk right by him. And they both see the hawk fly up more for a reason. And that's because another robot has appeared. Another giant robot that is in their path. So instead of just crashing into it, like Bakugo and Todoroki would, Midoriya would fly up in the air and would start diving at the finish line, or near the mine pit. That's where they are at currently. See, while those two are crashing into the robot and going through it for Todoroki's case because of the ice, right? They would finally reach. Well, Midoriya would be at 1st place now, right? And Todoroki would be 2nd, Bakugo would be 3rd, Izumi 4th still, and Ida 5th, and so on and so forth, right? And they would finally, they could all see the finish line for the first 3 members. And Todoroki and Bakugo has finally caught up back with Midoriya. Right? And, they're all neck and neck. They all are at, 1st place, really. And they would all go into the finish line at the same time. At the same time. And Midoriya would be on the ground, standing up, like, he would be in his bird hawk form and would, like, transform back into human form, right? And he would look down, and as you can see there, he's nude. He's naked, okay? And Bakugo, well, everyone would make it in, right? That does. Plus Izumi. Right, and now, it's time for the cavalry battle. Well, he would transform into, like, a bird, right? He would transform into a tiger, right, at the moment. And he would walk through, go to the waiting room again, and someone would bring him his uniform, right? Someone would bring it to him, right? And now he gets dressed again, puts the coat back over, and people would start coming up to him, ask him if they could join his team, and these people would be, well, Tetsu would think Midoriya is manly, right? So would Kirishima. So they both walk up and ask to join his team. And let me think, who else would? I'm gonna make it like a 4-man. And Tokoyami would also walk up to him, and everyone else found a teammate. And Izumi would have Midoriya's cannon team, just without Tokoyami, right? No, Izumi would be part of Bakugo's group. No, yeah, I'll have Izumi have Midoriya's cannon team, but minus Tokoyami, and add, like, I don't know, someone, I don't know who, right? And yeah, they would all start to go out there, right? Who would be wearing the headbands? Tokoyami would be wearing the headbands, okay? I got an idea. Okay, once they would all get out there, Midoriya, and once they heard the bells ring, well, I'm going to talk about points right now, because they all flew in at the same time. All the Bakugo, Midoriya, and Bakugo, Todoroki, they would all be in there at the same time, right? But they would all have the highest points, right? See, there were just 3 different headbands, right? No, they played rock, paper, scissors to see who got first, second, third, right? And Midoriya got first, okay? Right, he got first, so everyone would be looking at him, right, and his team. And since all of them would be looking at him, he would take off his jacket, right, and he would start he would transform into a tiger, right? But in his pants and shirt would go off. So, yeah. And he would start growing bigger and bigger and bigger. He is a giant tiger, okay? Giant tiger. Like his giant ape, he is a giant tiger, okay? And I know what you're going to say. He hasn't probably read about this, right? Or, no, he made this up, right? Since the tiger was his first ever, not his first ever. That was like mountain lion or something. But, no, it was a tiger, right? I don't remember. But his most used transformation is a tiger. So, the way his quirk works is he either has to read about the animal growing in size or something, or he has to be familiar with the animals to a high extent, right? And has transformed into that said animal multiple times. Like, I'm so sorry about the noise. But, like, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So he would, well, his team would get on his back and he would start growing in size, right? And, yeah, he grows in size and just starts, he would roar at the other participants, right? And he would say, "Come on, come and get me." And he would say, "Come on, come and get me." And everyone would be scared too because of that roar and how, well, when he transforms, his voice either deepens depending on, like, it would be like the sound of the animal, but yet he can still talk, right? I'm so sorry about the noise. But yeah, people would be scared to go after him, and some wouldn't be, like some people that are more confident in their quirks, right? And yeah, they would all try to charge Midoriya, but yet that wouldn't work very well on their part. He would make a giant swipe with his paw, and he would be making like a big gust of wind, right? And would either blow some people down or make him like trip or something. So they all think like, screw it. Forget about them. And everyone would go around fighting each other, and everyone would leave that team alone, right? They would leave them alone, right? And yeah. And yeah. And sorry. And yeah, that's it. People who would be in the thing would be in, and Midori would also be, Izumi would also get in the 1v1 tournament. And now it's time for that. Okay? See, this first match, the first fight, since I believe they have an odd amount of participants, right? They would have to do something else. See, the person that would be left off and wouldn't have to fight the first round would be Izumi. She will be at the second round. Okay? So, yeah. So, they would all... The first match would be Midoriya versus Shinso. And Ojiro would come up to Midoriya and would say, and warn Midoriya about Shinso's quirk, right? And Midoriya would say, "Thank you, Ojiro, about telling me about this." Ojiro would say, "No problem," and then Midoriya would go out there and would be walking up the thing. And Shinsuke would be at the other side of the arena. The arena, right? Yeah, at the other side of the fighting area. Okay. He would be at the other. Shinso would be at the other side of the right other at the battle place at the arena. Okay, I'm just gonna say arena. Okay. And yeah, and now they would start to begin to fight. Well, Shinso would start saying bad things about Midoriya, his class, and Midoriya would look at Shinso and would start to transform into a lion. Yeah, like a cape lion. Okay. No, I'm joking. A lion. Okay, it's just a lion. He would transform into a lion and would start running at Shinso. And Shinso would keep on saying these things. Right? And Shinso would be face to face with a massive lion at the very moment. Face to face with him. And would be scared. And Shinso would start to back up. Back away from Midoriya. While saying, "Get away. Get away. Back away. Get away." Like, the get away. And Shinso didn't notice how far she backed up. And she would hear Midnight say, "Midoriya is now going on to the next round." Right? And Shinso would look down and see that they are at the on the outside of the ring. Okay. And Midoriya would be walking away, right? Grabbing his clothes with his mouth, right? And would be grabbing that and would walk out. See, they drew numbers for the second round to see who they were fighting because of Izumi and how she would interfere with this. See, they would pick numbers. How many would there be in the second round? There would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But yet they would draw numbers, and the closest number to the number that you have, like 1 and 2 would fight, 3 and 4 would fight, 5 and 6 would fight, 7 and 8 would fight, and 9 and 10 would fight. Right? Yeah. And Midoriya would draw number 1, and Izumi would draw number 2. So the two siblings are now fighting, and Midoriya would walk out on stage in his human form, and Izumi would be at the other side, saying like, "Oh, good, I get to take out my brother permanently this time. I'll be the next number 1 hero, okay? Not you. You won't even make it to being a hero. Bakugo and me will out of that trash school. Only us two are worthy being heroes. okay? You are not. And Midoriya would say, I don't care what you say anymore. All of you have done to me is make me feel worthless, make me feel hatred all my life. I was in a dark place because of you. Now that I've found friends, people that will treat me like a human and not as a maid, right? I'm happy now that I've actually found people that treat me human and not like an animal. And I know what you're about to say. Oh, you are an animal. I know that. That's my quirk, idiot. And Izumi was about to say, but you are an animal, and Midoriya, and she opened her mouth, like she was about to say it, but yet she didn't because Midoriya said it for her. And now Midoriya would be on the other side, transforming into a dire wolf, a bigger wolf, okay, and he would start running at her, and the match has started by now, and Izumi would see. She has learned. Well, she brought in a device, right? Well, not a device. No, she would see on the some of the arena hasn't fully wasn't fully fully fixed. It wasn't fully fixed, right? It wasn't fully fixed, so there are still debris everywhere, right, from Bakugo's fight. And she would be throwing this debris with her telekinesis at Midoriya, but yet Midoriya is able to dodge out of the way for most of it. But yet now there's a giant barrage, or like a big pile of stuff flying at him, like some concrete, like ice from Todoroki's fight. Right? Ice and like concrete would be flying at him. And he would dodge some of it, but yet he would be able to dodge the bigger pieces, but yet he would have some of the debris, like the smaller pieces, would stick into his legs and arms. Well, the legs of the wolf form, right? And once he got up close to Izumi, like close enough where he could actually bite her or something, he would jump at her and would transform into his human form, and would punch her, and then kick her in the stomach, and would transform into a horse, and would take the hind feet of the horse form, and would kick Izumi right almost to outside, but Izumi would catch herself with her telekinesis and would throw herself at Midoriya, and Midoriya would transform he was about to get hit by Izumi's punch, right? And Midoriya would transform back into his human form, duck down, which he's naked, and Midoriya would transform into a kangaroo, right? And he would bounce off of the ground and would end up in the air right? And he would begin to like start spinning like a like in a circle. He would begin to like he would transform back, do like a front flip, and would start rolling like a soccer ball in the air. He would be, and he was like a ball in the air, like, and like everyone's seeing this, and he's transforming into a ankylosaurus, as you know, the dinosaur ankylosaurus. Yeah, with the club on the tail, if you don't know what it is. Ankylosaurus, right? And he would crash into the ground with his club and would, Izumi would move out of the way, luckily, or that could have been the end of it. And Izumi would duck out of the way. Midori would make the whole entire, like, arena shake by how much power behind that swing there was, right? And he would now be in his ankylosaurus form, taking like slabs of concrete to his like back, and it's doing nothing. But yet he would still be bleeding because of when he was in his wolf form, and his wolf form taking those hits and having the like ice stab into his legs and the pieces of concrete in his legs. He would be taking all these slabs of concrete, right? Or just plain out hitting it and making it break into pieces. Right? And, yeah. And Midori would see all these other pieces of concrete or slabs of concrete pieces and ice like slabs in pieces being thrown at him. He thinks he could probably, before it hits him, he could probably transform into a different thing. And he tries it. He tries it, and he would be mid-transforming into the animal, and he would get crushed. Not crushed, but yet he would be hit a lot, and it would make a giant pile of, like, debris on him. And everyone is shocked that she would do this to her own sibling, the person who she grew up with. Right? But yet you could hear midnight was about to call it off. Right? But yet you could hear the debris move, and what you would see erupting from the ground, or the debris would be a triceratops. Right? We all know dinosaurs, I feel like. Triceratops. And Midori would be running at Izumi as fast as he could, and would hit her, get his horns like tearing through her clothing, and would take her and would throw her up in the air. He would transform back to his human form, transform into a kangaroo again, and would jump up and would like drop kick in like a drop kick motion. Well, he would drop kick Izumi out of the battle ring, right? And Midoriya would win, and he would land on the ground and would start to limp back. But yet like, he would start transforming back to his human form, and you could see his legs, like, tore up with, like, ice spikes, in his leg, and his arm. He would grab his coat and put it around himself, right? And grab his clothing and would walk out. And would be checked on and would be healed. And, well, he would clearly put his pants back on. At least his pants. He wouldn't really care about the coat. No, he would put it all back on after he would be healed up. And his next fight would be against Todoroki, which Todoroki went against someone else. Maybe Ida. And now, this is the first match of the semifinals. Okay, I believe, yeah. Semifinals, right. The first match of the semifinals. And yeah. They would both be walking up to, well, before that, Midori would be beginning to walk out to the arena, right? Until he was stopped by Endeavor. Okay? And Endeavor would say, I can't believe I'm asking Mel for this, a favor. But yet, will you please get Shoto to use her fire side? Please. She's been holding back this whole entire time. And Midoriya would look at Endeavor and would say, I can try, I'm not guaranteeing anything. Right, and yeah. And Midoriya would now be walking out, and so would Shoto, Todoroki. And the bell would ring, and Todoroki would send a wave of ice immediately before, like, Midoriya would be beginning to, take off his orange coat. He would throw it and see that the wave of ice is, would be coming at him, right? And, yeah. And he would transform as quickly as could into the Ankylosaurus. And he would, hit the ice wave, and it would crack. I mean, like, it would stop. And Midoriya would start running and would start to turn back to his human form and would turn into an armadillo type creature. Like an armadillo, like a giant armadillo. Like, if you ever played Ark, Survival to Evolve, Ark, and you would know the creature that would spin up into a ball. And yeah, he would be in, I don't remember the name. I don't remember it. No, he don't turn into that. I got an idea. He turns into a rhino. No, an elephant. Right? He would turn into an elephant and would start tunneling through the ice, and would be knocking it and he would be knocking into the ice and just breaking it. And he would make it to Todoroki and would turn into like a anaconda, like a big snake, anaconda, right? And he would transform into his human form and then transform into that, and would get around Todoroki and would get his head right to Todoroki's ear. Like, his head would be at the fireside, right? And he says, Use your fire side, Todoroki. It's not your quirk. No. It's not her quirk. It's yours, Todoroki. Like that. Right, he would say it, and Todoroki would be freaked out that Midoriya would be tangled around her, right? And Todoroki would now register what he said, and Midoriya would get out of his snake form, right? And would transform into what would be cool? He would transform into a Ankylosaurus again, right? And Todoroki's left side would erupt in flames, and Midoriya would like smile in his like Ankylosaurus form, right? And he would start getting scared, because like, I don't know how I am going to even do this, but I can certainly try. So he would start transforming back into his human form and would start going into a gorilla, a volcanic gorilla, right? And gorillas, if you don't know, a lot of gorillas, or the volcanic gorilla, lives by volcanoes a lot. That's where you will most likely find the volcanic gorilla, or most gorillas. So he would transform into like a gorilla, right? And he would get ready, right, to see what Todoroki has to send at him, right? And he thinks, I could possibly turn my one arm into the size of the giant gorilla. But yeah, I don't know how that would work. That'd probably just tear my hand a lot. Screw it. If she sends a big blast, I'm gonna try it. And that's what Todoroki does. She sends a giant fire and ice wave, and Midoriya would make his right hand into a massive, into his giant ape, and would into his giant ape arm, and would punch the ice and fire wave, right? And a giant shockwave would appear in canon. Okay. Right. And after the smoke clears, or the dust smoke, there would be a Todoroki with a burnt shirt, and her one hand over her one breast. Okay, I know that's weird, but yet she burnt through her clothing to use that, right? And Midoriya, you first see Todoroki appear, right? And now you see Midoriya in a gorilla form, and the one thing that everyone notices first is his arm. His hand, rather. His arm would be burnt, scarred, or giant gashes in his arm and hand. Well, a lot in his hand. And Midoriya would transform back to his human form and would start to transform into a hold on, let me think. He would be standing there like in his gorilla form. It hurt a lot. And he would transform back in his human form and would look at his hand, dripping blood, and his arm dripping blood, and he says, "Well, that didn't go as planned." And he would look down at the ground and see how much blood is on the ground, right? And he would fall face first on the ground, unconscious, right? And people would surround him and get him out and get him to enter surgery to make sure he's still alive and make sure he doesn't die. And yeah, and they take him to Recovery Girl, and Todoroki would win that match. Todoroki would be like, she saw what happened to his arm. No, not yet. He doesn't fall yet. Scratch all of that. He would start, he would see a lot of cloth on the ground, like it was his coat. He would tie it around his front side, right, so he doesn't, and he would start walking at, what's Todoroki. Todoroki would be scared and, worried about Midoriya, and Todoroki would say, "Midoriya, just forfeit." And Midoriya would say, "No, I'm not forfeiting yet. I got much to prove. These people around us don't think I'm strong." Well, they probably now think I'm really stupid for even trying that. But yeah, I'm gonna show them how strong I am, even without my quirk, or with it. And Todoroki would look at Midoriya worried, really worried, she doesn't want Midoriya to die. Because how much blood is pouring out his arm, but yet you could see steam on his arm, really. And he would start to transform into a lion, right? And would start charging at Todoroki. Start charging at Todoroki, and would get up close, but yet Todoroki would freeze Midoriya solid. And Midoriya, knowing this happened, would transform into something. Well, he would transform back into his human form while in the in the ice, right? And now he transforms into a mammoth. A mammoth, okay. Giant elephant. Mammoth. You know, woolly elephant. Right. Woolly mammoth. And would break the ice and would start. Well, you could still tell his hand, arm, the injured arm, you know what I mean? Would still be very bloody. And he would be limping at Todoroki. And Todoroki would send fire waves and ice pillars at him. And he would just either break the ice or... No, he would take it all. He would hit the ice and would just take the fire, okay? And while he was doing this, he would keep on saying, well, now he would be saying he sees this as now he doesn't really care about winning anymore. He just wants to see he wants to prove that to everyone that he's strong and he doesn't need protecting. Because he is a male and he wants to show everyone what he can do, right? And also, he wants to see Todoroki use more of her quirk. And because Endeavor asked if he would make sure she would use her fire side of her quirk, right? And yeah. And he says, he would say, do you remember what I said at the beginning of this fight? And Todoroki would say, I do? I remember you saying it's my quirk and not hers. And Midoriya would transform back to his human form. And he would say, good that you remember that. And he would begin to fall frontwards. Right? He would begin to fall frontwards. And Todoroki would catch Midoriya. He would catch Midoriya. No, Todoroki would. And it's an only male with a quirk, okay? Todoroki would catch Midoriya. Right? And, yeah. He would be unconscious. I still confused of what they use in the canon. I think they use robots, right, to carry away the student, the injured student, right? Am I wrong about that, or am I right? I don't know. I don't remember. But I believe it was robots. So robots and heroes would come over and pick him up and take him back. And Todoroki would be very worried. And the robots, heroes, whatever, I don't remember, would get Midoriya and would take him back to Recovery Girl and right. So Todoroki would win that fight, and there would be a break because the other fights would happen, and then for the final, which is Todoroki versus Bakugo, there would be a break for the students to there would be a break between the semifinals and between the fights, right? For the fights. And during the break, everyone besides Izumi and Bakugo would go and check on Midoriya and how he's going. Nobody was actually able to go into the room because he is having surgery on his hand, right? And Todoroki would sit down on a chair and would say, "This is my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. I made him go that far. Why me? Why me?" And she would start blaming herself for all of it. And some people would comfort her, or everyone would comfort her and say they're all worried. Kaminari would say, "No, it's not your fault, I can tell you that much. It's everyone else's fault for making males look this weak, and nobody really listens to them. at all. Nobody listens to males anymore. Or at all, rather. Right? And, like, everyone would be staring at Kaminari and would say... And, Juro would say... I think that... You just said something smart. Like, really smart. That was insane. Like... And Kaminari would look confused at everyone and say... I can be smart sometimes. I just choose, I don't want to sometimes, okay? Jeez. And, they would all, leave outside from the room, right? Outside of the medical room that Midoriya is in getting surgery for his hand. And they would all leave, go back to the waiting room, right? And a couple more hours, not hours, like 30 more minutes would go by. And Midoriya has been in the medical room for like... See, they started surgery right away, right? And so he would be done once the Todoroki's fight would begin. And he would be able to go out and watch it. He would be out there. Everyone would be surprised to see him out there. And Midoriya would say, "Oh, who is fighting at this moment?" And Kirishima would say, "Oh, it's Todoroki and Bakugo, not bro. I keep on forgetting that it's only male with quirk. Oh, it's Bakugo and Todoroki. Yeah." And Midoriya would say, "Oh, okay. Oh, my hand." And he would sit down and begin to watch the fight. And, yeah. And while that's happening, everyone would be out there. And Midoriya, the fight would start with, okay? And during, like, Bakugo was about to win, right? Or they were, like, I don't know. Midoriya would yell, "Todoroki, you got this," or something. And, yeah. And Todoroki would hear this and feel motivated. And Todoroki would go on to win the fight. Right. And, yeah. Todoroki would win the sports festival tournament. Midoriya would actually get 4th place. And Tokoyami would get 3rd, Bakugo 2nd, Todoroki 1st, right? And yeah. And yeah, And now we are... Well, we're gonna do a time skip for like the next day or something. No, that would be on next week, Monday. Okay. Right? And they would know the next day. Okay. This was on like a Wednesday or something. Okay. And yeah. And we would get to the class, and Todoroki would be talking to Midoriya, and Midoriya would be able to take off his like bandages at this point, even though it wasn't really safe for him to do, he was allowed to. No, he wouldn't even have bandages on his hand, really, if it was surgery. Right, but he would, and Todoroki would ask Midoriya how he is and if he's all right. And she would also ask if she could see his hand. Okay, I'll start. I have something to say at the end of this. Okay, and I will probably make a whole entire video dedicated to it. Okay. Okay, and yeah, and Todoroki would grab Midoriya's hand and would take her thumbs and rub her thumbs over the scars, right? And Midoriya would say, "Why did you want to see my hands? I know it wasn't just because of this. It was there is some other reason, isn't there?" Todoroki would say, "I was worried about you, as we all were. And I wanted to say I am sorry for making you go that far." And Midoriya would put a hand on Todoroki's shoulder and would say, "It's not your fault that I went that far. I had the stupid idea to try it. And plus, your mother, Endeavor, which... Okay, I got a question. You have two mothers?" And Todoroki would, like, nod her head and say, "Yeah, I do." "Well, you're the fire one. I don't remember their name. I know they were Hero. Endeavor, that one. Yeah, that one asked me for a favor to make you go that far in that. So, it's fine. And plus, I wanted to try something out. Making my hand, well, my arm, massive. And, well, I'm like a tinier form. I wanted to see if it would work. Because turning into the giant ape would take too much time, and I would have been probably skewered by your ice wave pillar thing. So that's why I just decided, why not? And so it's not your fault, Todoroki, not at all. It's more of my fault, really. And then Todoroki would say, "Well, I'm still sorry." And yeah, and she would go sit down, which, yeah, and Aizawa would walk in and would say, "Well, yeah, I mean, there's stuff happening, so, you know the papers on your desk, right? Or right beside your desk, really. Go through them. Right, go through them, and I'll just explain it. It's internships. You go there for a week and go on patrol with heroes and blah, blah, blah. Okay? And that's really it. I mean, yeah, that's what happens. I mean, that's all that it is. Okay? And, yeah. Wake me up when it's, your free, time is over. And they would all go one by one through the recommendations, right? The internships. And Midoriya would come across a couple that would interest him very much. One would be a hero named Gran Torino, and another one would be a hero named Ryoku, and then the other one is Hawks, which he would know, number 3 hero, he would know who Hawks is and Ryoku, but yet he wouldn't know who Gran Torino is. So he would put Gran Torino away, right? Or, like, in a place. He would be between 2 of them. Hawks and Ryoku. Because they both have animal-like quirks, and yeah, that's reason why. They have animal-like quirks and go through, like, well, at least Ryoku, I don't know if this is canon or not, or this is just a headcanon, or I read something on a, like a texting story or fanfic, right? But Ryoku goes into, like, mating, like, has mating seasons or something. I feel like that would work for, like, animal quirks. If you have, like, a direct animal quirk, like a dragon, hawk, like, you can transform into the animal. So I'm guessing that's how that works. I don't know. Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna guess it is. That's how Midoriya's quirk is gonna work, right? So he is still between the 2 of them, Hawks and Ryoku, right? And yeah, they would go on class after class, right? They would be in class, and yeah, it would be time for lunch. Okay, they would go, right? They would go to lunch and grab their lunches, and they would be talking. Todoroki are a lot of the more like class 1A would be more talkative to Midoriya. Normally they would just like leave him alone or something. Right? They would leave him alone, talk to him once in a while, and say like, "Hey, how are you? How was your day?" Or like those type of conversations, right? But this time they would ask more like advanced, like friendship questions, right? Like Mina would ask, "You got a crush on anybody, or you dating anybody?" And like that question, and some other questions would be like what's your work? Like Kirishima would ask, "What's your workout schedule? Like, you want to work out together after this?" Like they would ask to hang out with them over the weekend or the days to come, right? Well, it would be training sessions. Schedule, not sessions. Yeah. And some people would ask, like, have you found anybody for the internships? Right? And they would all, well, Midori would answer most of the questions. Like, he would first answer Mina first and would say no and no. Like, I'm not dating anybody. He would say, I'm not dating anyone. And he would answer Kirishima's question of, well, I normally train over the weekend, which I probably will do, but yet sometimes I train over weekdays. So I guess we can hang out over the weekend and train, I guess. I don't know. And he would answer everyone's questions, and lunch would be over. They would go through their normal classes, right? And yeah, and they would go out and hang out. No. That's how the days would go on. For the past few days, and then we hit the weekend. And Midoriya is still mixed on who he should go with. So he would ask Kirishima while they were training. If he would ask if she found anyone, and she would say who she went with in canon, right? And Midoriya would say, "Oh, that's good." Who do you? Well, I'm stuck between two people right now, Kirishima, and Kirishima would ask, "Who are you stuck between?" And Midoriya would say, "Ryuku and Hawks," which I heard Tokuyami would be going with Hawks, or she got a recommendation with Hawks, but I don't know. I may not go with Hawks. I don't know. And Kirishima would say, "Well, if I were you, I would probably go with Ryuku, because how your quirk works and how her quirk works. You two could probably, like, you know how you go into that giant ape thing? You could probably have a fair match against her or something. That's probably who I would go with if I had a quirk like yours." Right? And Midoriya would say, "Yeah, that would be smart." And yeah, and we hit Monday, and Midoriya has finally made up his decision. And he would be going with Ryuku. And so he would get on the train and go to where her hero thing is, and would be greeted by a sidekick. Not Nejire, if you know. So, yeah. Midoriya would say, "I am here for the internships," and the sidekick hero would say, "Oh, okay, I can tell her now that you're here." And you would hear a voice say, "Oh, email. Oh, wow, this is going to be fun." So, and Midoriya and the sidekick would look over, and the sidekick would say, "Oh, Miss Ryuku." As you can see, he's here. Yeah. And, Ryuku would say, "So, I'm gonna test you on your quirk. Okay, is that fun? And get in your hero costume. Okay, you're gonna need it. I mean, get into it anyways, I don't care." So, and, I'm gonna give the hero and the sidekick a name. It's gonna be Aquadon. Why not? I don't care. Aquadon, the name Dawn, like Dawn. Aquadon. Okay, and she has like a fish quirk. I don't know. Right, a fish quirk, sure. No, she would have a penguin quirk, okay? Penguin, okay? I feel like that's just funnier. And, yeah. Midoriya would go into a changing room and would change into his hero costume. Is what you see on screen, just without the gloves. And plus, I don't know, I feel like I've already stated this in a previous part. But yeah, he doesn't wear shoes, like, at all. So, he already had no shoes, and, like, Aquadon would say, like, before he went in, she would say, "Why don't you have any shoes on?" Like, in a questioning tone. And Midoriya would say, "Oh, I didn't bother wearing any. I never wore any, really, because of my quirk. See, if I forgot to take them off, I feel like they would just tear. into multiple pieces. So, that's why I don't have shoes on. And Aquadon would say, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I feel like if I had a quirk like yours, I feel like I wouldn't wear shoes either. Or a shirt, for rather. Like, what? Like, you gotta... What happens? Oh, it depends... Well, whatever I turn into, right? The clothes will just slide off, okay? The clothes will just slide off and won't tear, so... And they won't burn. They don't burn very easy. Or do much for that, rather. Just slide off of my body once I transform into something. Right? And Aquadon would say, oh, okay. I get it now. That makes sense. And Aquadon would say, question. What? Like, you can turn into any animal, correct? And Midoriya would say, yeah, very much. Yeah, I can turn into any animal. Could you turn into a penguin for me, please, after you're done? And Ryoku would say, oh, nah, yeah, I kinda want to see this too. Like, yeah, I want to see this kid turn into a penguin. Like, duh, I mean, it's gonna be adorable, I feel like. And Midoriya would say, before I put on my hero costume, I'll come out as a penguin, okay? I want to go change. And he would come out as a penguin, like an emperor penguin, like the ones with the weird eyebrows, like hair, and would be waddling out, and they would both just go, oh my god! Like, he would still have his tie on, like, and he would look down and would say, well, I forgot my tie. Huh. Good thing that didn't tear. He would be waddling out, and he would be picked up, like, and would be held in the air, like, oh my god, like, up in the air, and Aquadon would be spinning around while he was in the air, like, I feel like you know what I mean, like, he would have been picked up, like, put their hands under, like, his armpits and would pick him up that way, like, if you pick up a cat, or, like, a dog, right? You know what I mean, I feel like. And, yeah, and they would spin around, and then, yeah, hugged and whatnot would happen. And, yeah. And now, he would get in her costume and would go back to the back and would see... He would see Ryoku, Aquadon, and somebody else. And he would look at the third girl and would think, I've seen her somewhere before. I'll ask later. It's not big as important. And the three women would finally notice Midoriya coming through, and Ryoku would say, well, okay, we can start now. While you were changing, another intern, another sidekick of mine, and your fellow student at UA, and Midoriya, after she said that, Midoriya would say, oh, that's where I recognized you at. And he would be walking up to him, and yeah. And yeah. And Ryoku would say, yes, you probably shouldn't. You've probably seen her around somewhere. She is a member of the Big Three. This is Nejire Hado. And Midoriya would say, oh, hello. I never knew. What? See, I've heard of the Big Three because I met Miro once or twice. But who are you again? I met Miro. I never knew. What's the Big Three again? I never heard of the Big Three. What is the Big Three? And Nejiro would say, the Big Three is the 3 top students of UA, which is me, Nedre, the one you previously mentioned, Mirio, and then we got a third member. Her name's Tamaki. She also has an animal-like quirk. It's so cool. So, and while she would be saying that, she would run up and would start, like, poking Midoriya, like, all over the place, like, everywhere. Like, whoa, I never knew a male, like, and she would be poking his stomach, like trying to like, yeah, I mean, like, and she would ask, what can you turn into? Show me. And, yeah, and Ryuku would say, Nejire, stop bothering him. You'll see what he can turn into once we fight, once we train, once we spar, okay? And Nejire would say, okay, Miss Ryuku. And she would, like, go back to the 3, and Ryuku would say, well, Midori, you're going to be facing the 2 of us. Ryuku, well, me, and Nejire here. And Aquadon here is our ref. Okay? And Midori was like, is it that's not, like, totally unfair? Like, highly unfair? And Riku would say, no, I don't think so. Oh, by the way, we'll be training for 2 days, right? Tomorrow, and then, well, today, tomorrow. And on the 3rd day, we will go out to Hosu City, I believe, and help a couple of heroes try to find the hero killer, okay? And Midori would say, okay. And he would say, okay. And, yeah, Midori would walk up to the opposite side of the arena, the ring they were fighting in. A ring, I don't guess you would call it a ring, like the area they were fighting within. And, yeah, and Midori would see Ryuku transform into her dragon form and would say, oh, shit. Oh, come on. I guess I took this. Of course. I know you were the dragon hero, but yeah, jeez. This is gonna be harder than I thought. And he would be transforming into I don't know, into his giant tiger form, right? He would be transforming into his dragon form, and they would be around the same size, while Ryuku would be on all 4s, right? Those 2 would be the same size as each other, right? That's how big, like, the giant ape is, but yet he's standing a little bit taller because when he's on his hind feet fully, okay? So they would be around that size, but yet that giant ape, once he is standing on all, like, his hind feet, he would be very tall, okay? So, now, yeah. Yeah, and they would start, like, Ryuku would, well, Midoriya would try to bite her neck or something like that. Like, how, you've probably seen Jurassic Park or seen clips of it in other, like, what ifs or texting stories, right? When, like, animals would fight, or, like, dinosaurs. They would, like, go for each other's neck and crap. That would be happening, and, right. And, Nejire would be shooting her, like, beams. Right? Her, like, beams of light? Not light. Energy beams? I don't know how to explain it. Like, she'd be shooting her quirk, okay, using her quirk. and would be hitting Midoriya, and she would at some point just get hit by Midoriya and would crash into Ryuku. Right. And yeah, that's just really how the fight went. Like seeing two dinosaurs fight. Or seeing two animals like fight. That's just how it would go. Okay. And yeah, they would keep on training. The day would pass. And now, it would be now time to go to Hosu, which they would be flying. Like Midoriya would transform into like a Quetzalcoatlix, a Quetzal. I don't know how to say its full name. I know how to say that much. Okay, he would transform into a Quetzal. Like if you ever played Ark or Quetzal. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, he would transform into a giant, like, bird. No, he would transform into a pterodon. No, a Quetzal, yeah. I feel like that would just be better. So they would be flying over to Hosu, and Nejire would be on Midoriya's back, and... Well, Nejire wouldn't be there. Okay? Nejire would be doing something else. Because it was her day off. Or she had to be at school for a test that would take all day. So, yeah. So it would be those two that are patrolling, really. And then they see flying creatures, or flying things flying at them, and Midoriya would fly above Ryuku and would drop down and would transform back to his human and then transform into a tiger, and would be running on Ryuku's back and would jump and would take the two flying things and take their heads and crash them against each other, and that would be taking them out, and Ryuku would catch him again, and he would just let the bodies drop, and Ryuku would say, "What was that? What was those things, Midoriya?" And Midoriya would say, those kind of looked like the things that attacked me in my class at USJ. And Midoriya would transform back to his human form, and he realizes he has a text, which he has a bag on, okay, to carry all this stuff. And he would check his phone and see coordinates from Todoroki, right? And Ryugu would say, "What was that?" "It's coordinates from a classmate. They seem to be close to here. Can I go check those out, Miss Ryuku?" "Yeah, go, kid." And Ryuku would say, "Yeah, go on, kid. I'll try to find heroes around here and help them out. Okay?" And Midoriya would say, "Okay." And Midoriya would jump off of Ryuku's back and would transform into a flying squirrel or a flying lemur. Okay? And he would be gliding to those coordinates at the very moment. And he would get right near there and would land on a roof and would look down into an alleyway that he heard ruckus in. And he would look down and he would see Todoroki and somebody fighting. and he would look around more, and he would see that Ida and a hero, and somebody else was on the ground, right? And yeah, and Midoriya would, well, actually no. He would also see Izumi on the ground, because Izumi went with Gran Torino because All Might is training her and Mirio and they'll have like a fight to see who would get one for all. Okay, that's gonna happen. So Izumi would be on the ground. Todoroki would be up trying to protect both her classmates and the hero. And Midoriya would transform into his human form and would take his bag off and would like drop it onto a light post and have it hang there, right? Like off the edge in front of the alleyway, and would have it drop to the ground, right? Which his phone was in a protective place, so his phone doesn't get destroyed, okay? And Midoriya, knowing that the sound would distract the opponent of Todoroki, he would jump down. Once he landed, he would transform into a like a saber-toothed tiger. Okay, he would transform into a saber-toothed tiger and would drop down to the ground and Stain would turn around and would see a giant thing standing behind Stain, right? And Stain would say, "Well, ain't this just fun? First, there was only one of you. And then there was two, now there's three, and then there was four, and now there's five. I had to fight three of you, well, two of you now, took down the other three first, before this half and half, the half and half quirk user got here, and now I gotta deal with a giant tiger. Oh, wow, my luck's just been going great. I need to get rid of you. Both of you. First, though, I need to get rid of you." And he would be saying, and Stain would be saying this to Midoriya. And Stain would start running at Midoriya, right? And Midoriya would get ready and once Stain swung her sword, right, Midoriya would catch it in his mouth, crush the he would crush the sword between, well, it wouldn't really crush it. He would grab it out of her hands, rip it out of her hands, throw it, and would take his left paw, and would slap and would hit Stain, scratching, making scratch marks on her, right? And then Stain would get tackled down to the ground with a nearly 1,000-pound creature on her chest, getting roared at, and she would then feel like ice grabbing at her arms, and would try to lift her arm up on the right side, or her her right arm, it would be like left arm. She'd try to lift up her left arm, and she would be able to, because that's on the same side as Midoriya's injured hand, arm, okay, and hand, right? So she would be able to slip her hand out of the grasp of Midoriya, and would be able to grab a knife out of her a holster, and would be able to slash Midoriya on his chest, and Midoriya would jump off of Stain, and yeah, I mean, the fight would go, and Midoriya would back up and would get Stain to back up closer to Todoroki, right? And Todoroki sent a slight while with Todoroki, Todoroki would send like a tiny ice wave at what's Stain, right? And Stain would be too focused on Midoriya while he was running around, and she would be throwing knives at him, moving around a little bit. And Midoriya transformed back into human form, right? And Stain would be shocked, about to throw another knife, but yet they would be shocked that it was the male with this quirk. Which most people, it was a conspiracy theory that Izuku wasn't a male and was just like a tomboy, right? And they just said he was a male. They were a male. Midori was a male because he had no breast, right? But yeah, no, they were a male, and Stan would be staring at down below, and Midori would say, "Hey, I'm not very confident down there. Okay, I know it's not as big as like females with it. I know a lot of females with down below there that married other females. Okay, I'm still insecure about down there. Okay, stop looking." And Stan would say "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I and Midori would say, I get it. You're sorry. I'm sorry for yeah." And but yet Stan would about to try to move, right? Midori Stan would turn around and see a wave of ice on her legs, her feet, her knees down are covered in ice, so she can't really move. And Midori would transform into an ape and would start running at Midori would start to be running at Stain, right? And Stain would would stare at Midori again and see that she's about to get clotheslined, wrestling type clothesline, and just get she gets thrown and she hits the ground hard. She would start skidding across the ground and would get captured into more ice. And Midoriya would go back to his human form, okay, and would jump off the wall and would do a backflip off the wall and would transform into into a saber-toothed tiger again, which his chest is still bleeding because it was gashed open. Saber-toothed tiger, and would if you've ever watched any type of wrestling, a moonsault is what he does. It's where they do a backflip off of the top rope or a rope or standing, and would land onto the opponent, right? Midoriya would do a moonsault, right? And would, like, crush, like, would hit Stain, right? And Stain would, like, start coughing, like, like she lost her breath. And Midoriya thinks, again, and he would say, Todoroki, keep her frozen. I got an idea. And he would turn around and would start to run back to where he threw Stain's sword and would pick it up in his jaw, right? Given he already has 2 giant fangs, right? But now he has a sword in his mouth. And he would start walking up to Stain and would get, like, over her menacingly, like, give up now. And he would say, give up now, in, like, a deeper voice. Give up now, or this is the end. And Stain would say, you're not gonna kill me, you're a hero. And Midoriya would say, well, he would drop the sword, right? He would throw it towards Todoroki, and he would say, yeah, I'm a hero, but yeah, that doesn't mean I can't knock you out. And he would take his massive paw and would just slap Stain across the head and would knock her out. And, well, yeah, and Todoroki would say, good job, Midoriya. And plus, I already called or texted my father, okay? And, my mother. And, yeah, they're heading over. They're gonna come over, yeah. And as Todoroki would be saying this, Endeavor would pop out. And so would Ryuko in her dragon form would say, or not in a dragon form, in her human form, like, and they would hop through there, like, is anyone, oh crap, no, people are hurt. Good thing we got a medical team, right? And, like, Endeavor and Ryuko would go in, and, like, smaller, lower heroes would pick up the injured Ida, Izumi, and the hero native. They would pick them up and set them into a car or outside there. And Midoriya he would grab the sword with his mouth again and would bring it over and, like, drop it in front of Ryuko, and Ryuko would say, good job! Like, oh yeah, like, once you get up to, like, 3rd year, you're coming back to me, like, I'm forcing you to. And she would, like, start petting Midoriya's head like a dog, like, fetch. Like they're playing fetch or something, right? I think it's funny. You don't have to. I just think it's funny to have a giant saber-toothed tiger being treated like a dog. I just think it's hilarious, okay? So, yeah. Todoroki would also come over and start petting him. Yeah, I mean, like, why not? Like, Midoriya would say, like, could someone grab me my bag? And Todoroki would say, where's your bag? And they would be already out on the street, like, right there. He would point up to there, and it would be on a light post, like, fairly high. And Midoriya would say, I don't really want to transform again. Right. And you're like, oh, I don't want to. And Todoroki would go over and would say, I'll get it, and would, like, use her ice to lift herself up, right, and would grab the bag and would go down and would hand it, or be ready to hand it over to Midoriya until they heard a loud screech, like, and Midoriya would be transforming back into his human form, right? And would transform into a giant praying mantis and would jump up and take out and he would take out the flying Nomu in one fell swoop. And Midoriya would see a knife fly. Well, there was two. He would take out one and would be ready to take out another. But yet he would see a knife fly past him and would the knife would fly up and would fly into the Nomu's skull, killing it. And Midoriya would turn around and he would transform back in his human form, and he would grab the knife out of the Nomu's skull, and he would bring it over, and he would be naked. Okay, I mean, like, everyone's like, you do realize you're naked, right? Oh, he would drop the knife and would turn around. He would take his hand and like cover it up, and like everyone would be blushing, like, jeez. And now can you hand me my bag? He would grab the bag with with his mouth and would go back into the alleyway and would change into his hero costume and walk out. He would grab the knife that he dropped before like anyone else could, and he would say, "I'm taking this. I want a little bit. I want a souvenir. You all can have his sword. I want this." And everyone would like, "Why do you want that of all things?" Like, "Oh, because souvenir." And he would also say, "Hey, before you all go, take staying away. Tell him thank you. Tell him I said thanks." And he would take the knife and would stick it in his bag. And you could hear Stain say, "Well, there's another one that I deem worthy. First it was just All Might. And now it's some kid named, well, someone named Midoriya, which I never caught his hero name." Stan would yell out and would say, "Hey, kid, what's your hero name? I want to know something beside Midoriya." And Midoriya would say, and he would turn back around and would say, "I'm Beast. Remember it. Hope you do." Right. He would say his his hero name would be Beast. Boy. No, I feel like just Beast. Yeah, Beast. Yeah, Beast. That would be his hero name, Beast. And Stain would say, "Good. Hope you remember mine." And now they would drive off. Stain would go into prison and blah, blah, blah. And now the things were caught off because of the attack. Right? And now they would be told about they would get a week break. The rest of the week off from their internships. Midoriya would actually get Ryoku's number, like her number, right, for Hero if he sees a villain attack or something, or whatever, or would need a training partner with a bigger animal, okay, or if he needs to talk about changes. Like, I'm guessing this is how animal quirks work, okay? Well, I'll just talk about it at the end. So they would be told about the final selection exam, the final exam, okay? And this is where I'm going to end it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about before I end this, I think I'll just make it a video like tomorrow. I'll probably post it tomorrow or something. Okay, you'll see a video tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. Most likely, though. I'll be talking about stuff. And the second thing I wanted to talk about is how Midoriya's quirk works, or like animal quirks in general. How I'll also make a video about that. I don't know when I'll post it. I'll probably record it tomorrow. I'll post the first video I'll talk about tomorrow, right? I'll post that one tomorrow. And then I'll post the other video maybe tomorrow or something. Or maybe on the weekend. Okay? So, I'll see you tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. Most likely. Okay? And then I'll see you on Friday with another part of what if Midoriya or Deku had the 8 gates. And then, yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow maybe. Bye.